It's the midday here, and this is LALATE. Thank you for the debut of our new show, Holidays LALATE, a midday program that gives you breaking news that keeps you in the holiday spirit and is more interactive than any other show on this channel. A show in which you can share your thoughts and I deliver them back on camera the next day. We talk about getting through the holidays, remaining financially stable, having fun, talking about the spirit of giving and helping one another and getting through as a family. And this is the debut of Holidays LALATE. Hey, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon if you're on the East Coast. Thank you for joining us for our new midday show replacing 28 called Holidays LALATE. It features both breaking news about stimulus checks, a third stimulus, and also details about politics, financial news, but keeps it real and lighthearted, a little bit like early mornings LALATE, by talking about the spirit of the wintertime, whether it's food, drinks, getting ready, getting bundled up, or it's just staying around and enjoying a hot coffee. It's a day in which we're getting through it together and we're getting through as a family, and it's that type of spirit and livelihood that comes with this lighthearted midday program show. I'm so glad you joined me. If you've not subscribed, go to the Fun's channel, subscribe, because this is part of the new programming block coming to LALATE, and I don't want you to miss a new show. Also, like this video. It's helping the show appear higher in the rankings. On Holidays Afternoon LA today, I'm going to be talking about the breaking news that you may see by the time this video is uploaded. It's recorded at 8:30 a.m. at 9 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell will be meeting in the first of two meetings this week for the FOMC, and he will be asked about stimulus and sending out stimulus, monetary policy, and this is a big issue. And I'll be touching that on this video and why this impacts your cost of living, your milk, your eggs, and all that wonderful stuff we talked on the live chat on election night. Then I'll be turning to Mitch and why Mitch has seemingly become a new type of person. Is it because of the purple power? Is it because of the holiday spirit and his focus on stimulus and getting it right out? Renewed optimism, but also a renewed message to really helping Americans. Then I'll be turning to Wall Street and why Wall Street is trading up nearly 600 points this morning. 600 points amid 400 points yesterday. What's really going on? Why is Wall Street so happy? And I'll explain that to you as well. And then finally, some of my thoughts. Always on more Holidays LALATE, I deliver some parting thoughts and go over your comments in the second half of the video. So stay tuned for the second half, starting at the 10-minute mark, in which I get into that holiday spirit. All right, let's start with some breaking news. The breaking news as we start this afternoon is the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is set to have its chairman, Jerome Powell, speak today in not one but two meetings over the next few days for the FOMC. It's important to follow that hearing because that is when he's going to be asked about stimulus. He wants you to have stimulus. He wants that stimulus in your hands. He expected it to be in your hands now, and he certainly wants it to be in your hands during the holiday season. Stimulus in holidays is very important for a lot of reasons. One, to ensure you pay your bills. Two, to ensure that you're up to date on your rent and utilities. But also it's important for the way the entire economy flows. The economy wants you to have money to survive, but it also wants money for businesses to grow. The third and fourth quarter of the nation is generally where retailers depend most of their year on economic activity. So if you're a retailer and you're going to open your door this morning, you're expecting people to come in, but not if there's a lockdown, not if there's a curfew, and not if people don't have stimulus. And so this is the renewed energy. It's really incredible, great news. I'm very excited that Jerome Powell is speaking today because ultimately his ability to push the narrative on stimulus is so important. He's also speaking for the first time after the elections and the first time after the election season, the campaign season. So he can talk more freely about the need to provide stimulus. His notion of stimulus is that it needs to land in your hands, physically in your hands, not in someone else's hands. And that's categorically important when we talk about stimulus checks and FPUC. It's different than what Nancy Pelosi wants, which is money sometimes going to a state or a local government, and then they figure out whether they want to give it to you or not. No, Jerome Powell believes money should go into your hand, and that's what stimulates the economy. Let me give you an example. The money goes in your hand, you then pay rent. The money goes in your hand, you pay utilities. Or the money goes in your hand and then you spend money somewhere else on retail. You may buy a sweater because you're jogging at home because the gyms are closed. That helps the retailer, that helps you, and that also helps the economy. That's what Jerome Powell is looking at. The retail sales numbers came out last week and they were very good, but they were based upon first stimulus. And so what Jerome Powell will likely say today and in the next hearing is that we need stimulus to go out right away. Let's turn to Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell actually said yesterday he wants the stimulus to go right out. And he says, I've repeatedly said in the last few months we need stimulus package. Hopefully the partisan passions that have prevented us from doing it will subside now. And I think we need to do it right away before the election. I think this is job one when we get back. Hopefully we'll have a more cooperative situation than before. And he does. And he certainly believes. And I believe it's actually going to happen. Wall Street also is among the people that says stimulus is absolutely categorically happening, and it's coming right away. It's coming right away. It's not coming after the holiday season. Actually, stimulus would be coming during the holiday season, which is incredible, great news. When else do you need it better than now? The speaker spoke, the majority leader spoke about the speaker, Nancy Pelosi, and her numbers and why they weren't really giving money to you. They were giving money to someone else. This is not what Jerome Powell subscribes to. The speaker, Nancy Pelosi, had laid out a $2.5 trillion package with all kinds of things I felt were simply unrelated to the subject of COVID. Absolutely right. That's not what Jerome Powell wants either. He wants stimulus in your hands. And so it's a great, as we start the Thursday morning, if you're on the West Coast, or Thursday if you're on the East Coast, is that everyone on book wants to send out stimulus. And what's important to understand in the holiday spirit is that everything that we've dealt with, the anxiety, the stress, the tensions, the name calling, that's really settling down because the election is over. We almost have all the finalized results, and there's a belief that now is the time. This is amid 110,000 new COVID cases announced yesterday, the highest number in the country, and the rising escalating number of COVID cases across the country. Missouri, Alaska, Ohio, Iowa, Indiana, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, and New Mexico, if my view is there, please be careful. The number of cases are growing very quickly. What's important to you understand as we approach the holiday season for stimulus and COVID is the following. Cities and counties may do what's called a curfew first before a lockdown. Neither is something you really want to have because they're not particularly enjoyable. A curfew is what Chicago has been doing over the last couple of days. I don't know if they still have it today. It was a 7.1% infection rate, and so they said, you know what, we'll close businesses early and we'll open them a little bit later, and then you can't go out for certain things and you can't go out for certain that. A lockdown is totally different. That's more restrictive. What's important to understand as we approach the holiday season is that the stimulus would be coming to you, but you need to also be in tune to the other stimulus that you may qualify from the first stimulus package. I had a very nice message come to me on early mornings LALATE. You know, I get about 50,000 comments a day in all the different platforms. It's really hard to even track them, even let alone see them. As one person, a lot of people have teams of people responding to comments that are really not the person you're watching on air. I'm actually the only one looking at the comments, so it's just me. And someone sent me a really nice message. He gave a super chat on one of the early mornings broadcasts today, and he said both of his children have just contracted COVID-19. What can I get? Well, it's important to understand that there's a lot of stuff under CARES Act 1 that you can get. Among them, and this is why I'm bringing this up, is that if you contract COVID-19 while in the coming days, or you have a family member or friend and don't know this, please be on high alert. PUA is one of the categories for PUA is that you have contracted COVID-19, or a family member that you live with and that you care for has contracted COVID-19, and that you have to care for them. So if you, for example, are a father and your son gets COVID and you have to stay at home and take care of that child, you can get PUA. It's one of the eligibility criterion to get PUA. And remember, it's back to the date at which it started. If, for example, you're just hearing this now and this happened to you 2 months ago and you never applied and you didn't realize it, you can get it retroactively. But please go get it. If we're talking about it now, it does not have FPUC on it on top of it yet. If we're talking about it in the past, it would have FPUC on top of it. So if you or anyone you know has that issue, remember FPUC goes on top of anything you have from March to July. That's incredible, great news. $600 a week. You don't have to apply for FPUC. It goes on top of your PUA. And then we're talking about PUA right now. You're starting to go on it. There's nothing that would go on top of it. Finally, if we're talking about a month ago or 2 months ago, you could get LWA on top of that as well. You see how we're getting through this and figuring out how to get money. The focus of this channel is to send out a lot of money. I had a couple people really, OGs and then viewers who joined this channel about a month or 2 months ago, sending me messages about new grants. So I'll be putting those in the community part of the channel. There's about 3 or 4 that people have sent me in the last few days. I don't particularly have the links for all of them. I have the names. So if you do send me something in a DM for a grant program, send me the link so that people won't ask me, where's the link? Thank you for the name. Ultimately, if I don't have the name, then you have to Google and search for it. So with the holiday spirit, here's the question of the day. We have been talking about eggs and milk going up in recent days because of what we either think is price gouging or price inflation. My question is, what do you buy at the supermarket now that you don't normally buy not during the holidays? So now that the holidays are coming around and the cold weather is kicking in, is there something that you particularly eat or drink a little bit more that you usually don't drink because it's the holiday season? Some people might be subscribing to some hot brandy. I particularly love eggnog. It seems that the eggnog has rolled out in the supermarkets earlier this year than previous years. I don't ever remember eggnog before Halloween. It literally feels like the eggnog has been there since August. Not to say it's the same container since August, but it seems like it's rolled out. Needless to say, I'm seeing holiday decorations everywhere. And the other question I want to ask you is, what type of wreath do you like for the holiday season? And do you change up your wreath for one for Thanksgiving and then for Christmas? Some people like to have a different wreath for Thanksgiving and then one for Christmas, or if it's Hanukkah, they swap it out as well. And then other people like to not even hang the wreath on the door, but actually put it on the dining room table or put it inside on like a wall. The greatest things about wreaths is that you can make them by hand. You can literally make a wreath with absolutely not a penny spent. The wreaths can be done by simply taking your odd branches that are in your yard, getting a little bit of twine, wrapping them together, and then either stapling, taping, or hot gluing, or tape or attaching, sliding in leaves, down leaves, or random fruit. If you take berries, random berries that are growing on trees, or any type of holland berries that are dropped in the seas, and you add them to the wreath, it can make a beautiful decor. Tell me what type of wreaths you like and how you like to hang them. And do you put them inside, outside? And do you swap it out? I personally like a Thanksgiving wreath because a Thanksgiving wreath has more of the colors you see behind me, a little bit more of the leaves, the yellows, and the beiges. And then as you get into the winter weeks, the Christmas weeks, then you tend to be a little bit more festive. It's a little bit more flossy, as you would say. It's a little bit more glitzy. It's sort of like, when you get around the holiday season, you ramp it up, whereas Thanksgiving's a little bit more tame. it's like the tame, it's like the exotic dancer is the the exotic dancer version of the Reefers and the holidays, whereas sort of the ballet dancer is the version that comes out for Thanksgiving, Reese. It's that type of spirit that we try to focus on. You know, I could certainly be making arts and crafts on camera, but I don't think there's enough time nor running time for videos. But if you have beautiful things and you want to certainly share them on camera, I certainly want to share them. Drop them in a DM. If you have a beautiful reef, I'll post it on the community page. Say, hey, here's a beautiful reef from viewer Geraldine from Tuscaloosa. Here's how she did her reef, and we'll keep the discussion going. Join me tomorrow at the same time, 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, as we continue with Holidays LALATE. We're keeping it easy breezy, light and hearted, with an update on breaking news and always your stimulus. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay with LA for more.